And we are live. I do believe we are live. Let me know if you can hear me. You got to give me a shout out here. We've got lots of people on here. I've been chatting on here. I've been chatting in the comments, and now we are live on the YouTube channel. So it looks like it is working. It looks like we are live. I'm going to check my audio real quick. Hope that's all right. And make sure, see, this doesn't really help because I can't hear anything, but I think that's a good thing that I can't hear anything through the headphones, because that would tell me that I would be hearing both my broadcast on the YouTube channel, but also through my microphone. That's no good. So I think we got pretty good audio. It sounds like everybody can say that they can hear me. The reason I question that is I am broadcasting live here from the kingdom of Bunjie, so to speak, but I am in our all new trophy room. Can you believe that? Behind me, you can see I got this, this is my studio where I'm going to edit all my video. It's got that cool logo on the wall. I got a wall decal all set up for that to make the place look good, to make it look more appropriate, more official, you know what I mean, and hopefully make it a better place to do all of these fun videos that we have missed, that I haven't been doing enough of. I do intend to give you a full tour of the trophy room. You guys follow me on Facebook, even on the YouTube channel. I've been doing a lot of videos from here, and I intend to do a lot more videos in 2021. Finally getting settled in here at the new house, and that's the reason that I've been a little bit behind the times. Now, I'm going to throw you on a different camera right here. You can see this, and you can see my dirty desk. Holy cow, look at that desk. That's dirty. But hopefully you forgive me. But I got all my guitars set up over there. The room... Here's a look behind us there with the logo, and I got some antlers, I got some lights there and stuff like that. Pretty cool, but this is the best I can do for a tour right now. There's my Sika deer, the video of that, it's on YouTube. That is the big guy from Maryland 2019. And then I have a boar up there from, I think, 2014. That's my 1986 buck. Over there is my 2016 buck, but right there, on that piece of wall right there is where I'm going to put this year's buck, hopefully. So that's the plan. That's the room that I'm in, just to give you an idea of what this whole place looks like. And hopefully that makes for a suitable spot for us to have this little live stream, this little virtual deer camp, and talk a little bit. Thanks all you guys for joining me here. I've got the microphone up here, and I did get a chance to chat with some of you, but I do want to jump directly into what we're talking about here. Now, I want to be very upfront about this. I do not have any spoilers. I do not have any inside information. I am not sponsored by Excalibur. I've been shooting an Excalibur crossbow for 11 years, as you know. Completed our 11th season. I say completed, but in reality, there's still a few more days left of the Pennsylvania's late crossbow season, what I like to call our flintlock season. But 11 years with that same crossbow. You guys already know all of that, of course. That's why you're here. But 11 years with that same crossbow. This year, I am looking at new crossbows. If you look back at our videos this year, I used Genevieve's Bunjie Junior, a micro 355 suppressor, shooting about 351 feet per second, I think, with our tests here in-house in the backyard in the old crossbow range. And that's a sweet little crossbow. Really enjoyed it. It gave me a lot of new ideas and a refresher on how improvements in technology can benefit us. Now, the reason I'm doing this live stream, though, because I want to give you my thoughts on what's going on here with Excalibur, and I want to hear from you in the comments. If you have any inside information, or guesses even, I don't care if they're true or not. I want to hear more from you, okay? I want to hear your thoughts on this, whether it's accurate or not. Just guesses, because that's all I got at this point is guesses. Now, the reason I'm doing this live stream is because on the Facebook page, kaboom, right there it is, the Facebook page, Excalibur put together a post that came out today. I got up today and saw it for the first time. And immediately I had a couple of messages from friends of Bunjie who contact me and say, hey man, did you see this? Did you see that this is the, that their Excalibur is having this announcement? And if you clicked on their video, this is what you got. And I'm going to see if I can play that here. Now, I don't have any permission from Excalibur to play this, but I don't think that they would be opposed to this, to me sharing this information. That's the nature of social media. So here goes. And I don't think you're getting any sound out of that, are you? It's probably not playing the sound. It's kind of hard for me to play the sound from these things. But that's okay. You get the idea. That ad, if we look at it, says, hey, Excalibur's got some big news coming up. It's Excalibur Crossbow. It is knock, knock is what it says. And it's guys saying, hey, knock, knock, I got a big deer and all this other stuff. Knock, knock, 2 arrows with broadheads, the whole bit. Those are those bolt cutters. I think the 100-grain bolt cutters. But January 7th, we're releasing something very important. And pay attention here, Excalibur.com, double or nothing, right? So I'm looking at that and I'm thinking, geez, Excalibur's announcing something new. What are we talking about here? Are we talking about the fact that it's knock, knock? Are we talking about new knocks? There's 2 arrows in the video. Are we talking about the 2 arrows that have something to do with 2 arrows? Double or nothing. There's something involving 2 here. They're, really dropping the hints, as far as that's concerned. Someone suggested in a message I got today that it was a new knocking system, a new style of knock. As some of you may know, Excalibur uses those flat knocks, and wow, okay, the flat knocks, are they going to change that? I mean, recurve crossbows traditionally do use those flat knocks, so that would be a big surprise if something changed. But technology changes. Things change with technology. The double or nothing, though, they give a link to their website, and I'll go to that now. And if you look on their website, this is what you get. It says Thursday at 12 o'clock p.m., okay, noon on Thursday Eastern Time, we're getting 2021's Excalibur Flagship launch. Now, that tells me that we are not talking about knocks. We are not talking about arrows. We are talking about a new crossbow, the Flagship Crossbow. Historically, most recently anyway, the Flagship Crossbow is the Excalibur Assassin. So I think that's probably what we're talking about. Now, what does that mean? Okay, here's a neat video for you. Ready? What does that mean? Ooh, questions, big questions. How's that? I thought that was pretty funny. That's what I made the thumbnail out of, the thumbnail for this video. If you look at that, I kind of got a screenshot of that and put it on there. But when you look at that, that raises a lot of questions. We have all these questions about what that's going to be. It's very interesting because it is a flagship crossbow that we are looking to hear more about. So what's it going to be? What's it going to be? We have a flagship crossbow coming. Now, when I read that it was a crossbow, I thought, Now, I'm a lawyer. You guys know that. Intellectual property is not my area of specialty, that's for sure. But one thing about crossbows I know, one thing about new intellectual property I know, is that you got to patent certain things, right? You got to get copyrights for intellectual property. You have to get patents for a new crossbow. So I did a quick search and did find, believe it or not, here it goes, I got it right here, a new patent by Excalibur. If we look at this, okay, if we look at it right on there, you can see that the patent was filed for, the application was filed. I'm moving this all over the place, so it's not doing what I want it to do. But the application was filed in May of 2021, okay? May of 2021. Now, it's not letting me do what I wanted to do, unfortunately. If I were able to share the rest of that web page with you, and it is what it is. It worked earlier today. It's not working on the live stream. That's the nature of live streams. But when I looked at it, it was approved like in November of 2021 or 2020 or whatever it was. It was last November. It was approved. So they got intellectual property protection for a new crossbow. Now, the important thing there is it's a twin strike, right? Now we're back to that idea of 2. Twin strike suggests to me there's going to be 2 of something on here, and that this is a crossbow. So now we have the Excalibur website saying it is a flagship launch. In other words, a new crossbow that will be their top model, their most expensive, most elaborate flagship model. The patent that we see, registered in China, that is an ad, what you're looking at there, intellectual property in China. Disregard that portion of it. That's actually an ad, and you can see there's a little X in the corner of that where that would be. They did not register their trademark in China. They may have, I don't know, but that's an ad for services in China. So just ignore that for the purposes of this information. Excalibur has patented a new crossbow called the Twin Strike. Now, I did some Googling because now I know what the name of the crossbow is, so it's easy to go to Google and look around. And I found a catalog here, and if I spoke French, I'd probably be a step ahead of the game here, just with Excalibur in general. But if you look at this website actually has on it a bunch of crossbows. It's Ecotone Les Amis Sport. I don't know. I'm pretty good at this stuff. I can murder any language. But if we go back to that website, and if I look at that, you look down through here, it shows all the Excalibur crossbows, go buy a crossbow, and then it has pictures of most of them, okay? Most of them do come with pictures. And if you look here, there's the Excalibur Assassin with no image. But if I scroll down a little bit, look at this. We have right there, and I clicked on it. Oh, there, and it's going to let me do it. Good, good, good. But it's the Excalibur Twin Strike Mobuk with Overwatch scope and charger crank. I'm familiar with the charger crank. I love that little system. The Overwatch scope, I must admit, I am not familiar with. And the Excalibur Twin Strike, we know, is that newly patented crossbow. Mobuk, or Mobuk, or however you want to pronounce it, is a style of camouflage. I looked that up, and I got to admit I wasn't familiar with that either, but it's a neat style of camouflage. I really liked it. But apparently, this store up there in Quebec, I guess, is getting ready to market this new crossbow. So it's a new crossbow called the Twin Strike, I guess, like that. And what does Twin Strike mean? Now, I kind of have given you all the information I know about this thing. We have a whole bunch of comments, and I think that what people are saying is that I don't think it's a knock. I don't think it's a new style of arrow. It's a flagship crossbow. It's something to replace the Assassin that is currently sits at the top of Excalibur's line, supposedly. And that depends on who you ask, right? I mean, I got the bottom of Excalibur's line, and I've got the oldest version of it, practically, you know, for me. I haven't bought a new one, but I'm hunting with an 11-year-old $500 crossbow. The Excalibur is the current top of that line, and I see two different comments in this list of comments. And you guys are on the same thought as I am. And I can see them right here, both of them. Jennifer Robinson and Jack Frost and LTBO 67 and Greg Hastings. Double string, is that possible? I don't know about the double string. Is it possible? That's a question. I don't know. You know what I mean? Seems like the vibration of pulling the trigger on one string, you're going to pull the trigger on the other string. But maybe that's what it is, okay? Because if it's able to fire two arrows, okay, and we're seeing a picture with two arrows, then you got to have two strings, I think. If it's firing two arrows at exactly the same time, I can tell you flat out, I'm not interested in it. I don't care about it because I can't hunt with that in Pennsylvania or anywhere else where I know. You have to fire one single arrow and that's it. I've read in our Pennsylvania code specifically it bans any weapon that fires two arrows, okay? That you can't use a bow or a crossbow that shoots two arrows simultaneously. Maybe it can fire or you cock it, it'll shoot one, shoot the other. I'm not interested in that either. I don't know why I would need a follow-up shot. Is there a shortage of people killing deer with a single shot that now we need two shots? I don't know. I mean, to me, I don't have an interest in that. That doesn't interest me, but it might interest everyone else. I don't know. The other question I had got here, LTBO 67 and Jennifer Robinson and a few other people have posted this. Double recurve limbs. Now, I should have put this on here so I could show them, but you can always go look up a company called Kodabow. My nephew Nick has a Kodabow. I shot that years and years ago. I talk about that in my book, The Death by Bunjie Crossbow Story. I'll throw that out there for those of you who haven't bought a copy of the book, if you might be interested in hearing all about hunting with the same crossbow for 11 years, 10 years at least. That's in that book. That is that book. But I talk in here about the Kodabow. That's a recurve style crossbow. They have a variety of them. They haven't changed those in 10 years. I mean, they haven't come out with a new model, I don't think. It's dated technology, but it's also capable of killing big game animals. There's no question about that. It shows you that recurve technology, there can be improvements, but there's also doesn't necessarily need to be improvements, I guess. But they have a dual limb system where they actually have 2 limbs, and you see this on compound bows all the time, right? Double limbs and all that sort of thing. They have 2 limbs coming back, 1 string connected to 2 limbs on each side. So they actually, I think they have 4 limbs. They're split limbs. So you could do that, I suppose. You could do that with those other ones, right? You could do that. Lever action, maybe they are shipping them with replacement limbs. I already made that joke today too. I was thinking the same thing. It's like they're backup limbs. It's like having a spare tire in a car. You know what I mean? I got a kick out of that. I thought the same. I made that joke earlier. Pretty sure that's not what it is, but I think that is a pretty fun one just the same. James Skaggs, possibly a dual limb recurve. Again, yeah, that's what I'm thinking. And Scott Cooper, you also thinking the split limb. Here's what I'm thinking, and I'll tell you my thoughts. I've seen a bunch of people in here asking us, what about, and Rocco here, Rocco0887 is saying I should have been a detective. That's pretty funny. I know a little bit here and there about Google, and that's it. That's all I got. So we were able to find that information. I thought that was pretty handy. And this is the day, incidentally, this information comes out on Thursday, which is like the busiest day of work for me this week. So I'd love to tune into this live, but I'm not sure that I can. But I probably will do another live stream like this Thursday night. So come back and we'll talk about what we find out the truth to be, and we'll talk about whether I'm interested in that. A few people on here have commented or questioned whether or not I'm getting a new crossbow, and I think I am. Okay, that my mind is set on that, and my mind is leaning in that direction. I am leaning in that direction. I'm doing a lot of research on this stuff, so I don't take that kind of a decision lightly. I was shooting and playing with arrow weights in the garage today even, okay? I released a podcast today talking about yet another arrow that I was playing with to try and increase penetration with my older, slower crossbow. But the solution of buying a newer crossbow and getting up to date with technology, with more modern technology, solves those arrow weight and penetration questions that I have, at least for me personally, very nicely, and without all of that, standing in a very cold garage on concrete and shooting arrows, trying to get the chronograph to cooperate today. It was a heck of a day. So am I looking at a new crossbow that my buddy Scott, who also is mentioned in my book, he told me that once you start, how did he put it? He said, I have not talked about new trucks since I bought my new truck. But once you start talking about new trucks, it's time to buy a new truck. And I got to thinking about that. Not in the market for a truck, but when you start talking about new crossbows, that's when you might as well just buy the new crossbow. That's probably where we're going. Now, when I hear this news, that's why I'm following this very closely. That's why I'm excited about this. When I hear about these the potential for this double or nothing, right? I'm thinking that if this is a crossbow that shoots 2 arrows, I have absolutely no interest in that and will not purchase one. I don't even know that I would play with it. And I'm a little concerned that might be the direction that Excalibur is going in. In my opinion, if a company is going in that direction in this day and age, without a real call for that in the market, what are you doing that for? Why would you do that? But it wouldn't surprise me. You guys might have seen the steam bow, for example, right? That's a crossbow that cocks with steam or compressed air, but it weighs 12 pounds and you can cock it in the presence of game. I have no interest in cocking a crossbow in the presence of game. I like sitting in a tree stand for 4 hours and taking a shot at the end of the night. That's what I want to do. Just have it shoot perfectly after it's been cocked for 4 hours. That's all you got to give me. Okay. I don't need one that cocks in the presence of game very quietly or anything like that. I don't care about that. So not sure about that stuff. If that's the direction you're going in, you lost me. I'm not interested in that. On the other hand, I don't know about the physics and all that stuff. I'm not a mechanical engineer. I do know a few. I've interviewed one here recently, as a matter of fact. And there's more stuff like that coming on Death by Bunjie, some what I consider very important information. But one of the things that if it is a double limb crossbow, and maybe the science says that if we've got 2 limbs, now we don't have to have a 300, we can distribute our 300-pound draw weight over 4 limbs instead of 2. And that's easier on the recurve limbs. And you can still have that recurve simplicity without going to a compound bow and still get those really high top speeds. Maybe we can shoot 450 feet per second with 4 limbs. It gives us more power. I don't know. And I don't know if that's even what that would do. If that's the kind of conversation we're having, we can attain these, keep recurves up to date with up-to-date speeds, recurve crossbows, without worrying about is the cracked limb, the limb failures and all that stuff, if that's the thing. Maybe that's good technology. Maybe I'm excited about that. So I don't know what it's going to be. I do not know. And I'm anxious to find out. And hopefully, you know, those of you tuned in, you must be curious about it at least too. So we shall see. So I am probably in that in the market for a new crossbow. This is, we can consider this. I've been hinting at that and practically stating it outright, and even in my last video and in some of the different videos, and in my book I even said that. So, I mean, it's hard to say goodbye. You get these sentimental attachments to things. And that crossbow, even shooting it today, you know, being able to cock a crossbow and shoot it over and over and over without, you know, no crank. It's just so simple. That's great. That's great. But, you know, we've got a comment here from Mark Borchert. Bunjie retires to the trophy room. As a matter of fact, I'm going to show you guys right now. This is what I'll show you for joining us here. I'll show you this little thing. On that wall where the Pennsylvania buck will call home, right there's my other Pennsylvania buck, my 2016 buck on the left. On the right, we have my 1986 buck. The 2020 buck is going to go right there on that stone wall, on that chimney, and he is going to, next to him, have, I actually, and this is kind of weird, but I've been planning this out, thinking about it. I actually am getting the feet for my buck, the front feet mounted. And I'm going to hang them on the wall like this, and they are going to hold Bunjie up next to my 2020 buck. How's that? So I'll have a big christening ceremony when that buck, when all that taxidermy is done, and we'll hang it in here, okay? This is, I call it the trophy room, but it really is just a great place to do videos. But the trophies are important to me. I don't need the biggest bucks in the world, but I do want to be surrounded by all those memories, and I really do appreciate it. Just like I appreciate these live streams and the opportunity to talk to friends and people that I haven't seen in a long time. That's awesome. Lever Action, I hadn't seen you in a while. You must have found your YouTube password, huh? I figured if you showed up, I was going to give you a jab or two. That's great. So, but I really do appreciate all you guys. Brian Ross, a $2,000 stimulus check would have bought a sweet crossbow. You got that right. Boy, and this crossbow, according to that website, incidentally, it was $22.99 Canadian, and a friend of Bunjie sent me a message this morning saying it's like $1,700 American, I guess, now. So they're in the same, you know, overall cost that they would have been otherwise. So that's pretty neat. So a few of you are saying you don't have sound. I hope that's not on my end. Apparently it isn't on my end, because some of you are getting sound from me, but I can bet that the internet is back and forth, and that's how it is. Shaky Peck says, I learned how to bow hunt from Ted Nugent, and I learned about crossbow hunting from Rich. Well, thank you. I appreciate being in that company, and I can tell you I learned a lot about bow hunting from Ted Nugent, and I actually was inspired to pick up an Excalibur from watching Ted Nugent. I mentioned that in my book. Pretty cool. Mark Borchert, the Assassin 2, that's kind of what this is, I guess. We're kind of waiting to see, well, who's going to be the new Assassin? Who is going to be the new top shelf offering from Excalibur? It'll be pretty neat. And Andres Loomers, thank you for joining us from across the ocean, of course, to another country. I'm always impressed by that. I know I say that every time, but it does blow my mind that people join us from across the, you know, from Europe. That is, I'd love to see some kind of innovation like that where maybe they can increase speeds. If it's a reverse crossbow from Excalibur, that might be kind of neat. I don't know. Reverse crossbow might be a little narrower. You know, one of the drawbacks of my older, slower crossbow isn't just that speed, but it's also the width. It's 36 inches wide. When I showed up in Maine to hunt bears, I get out there with all the other hunters to get in the pickup and be taken to our location, and I go to put my case in the back of the pickup truck, and the guide says, wow, that's some case. You know, there's no room for the bait. I mean, you can't put if we shot a bear, we weren't bringing it back with us. Not in my case, right? It's just so big. So maybe the crossbow with split limbs, that might be neat. We might see something neat like that. Yakking Patton, hey, Rich, New York may open all bow season. I hear that is news, and I do hope that is something that's on. That would make 2021 way better than 2020 in my mind. Maybe an over-under, says George Keith, for a quick follow-up shot. There has been a lot of people talking about that stuff, but I don't see the functionality of that, for me, at least not in my hunting experience. Yeah. Jack Frost, knock, knock, would make me think about 2 arrows. And Jack Frost, the picture of the 2 arrows. Exactly. 2 arrows, knock, knock. That sends me in that direction. We're talking about 2 arrows. And I'm concerned about that. So I'm on the same page with you. I think that they're either misleading you a little bit on purpose, or the knock, knock is not really on point. I don't know. To me, the going in the direction of the 2 limbs, if that's something that would be good, yeah, that might be good. I don't know. We got all kinds of people on here. We got some great comments. I do. Let me just see here. Rich needs a takedown model. Greg Hastings, in the search for the successor to Bunjie, and that's what the series of videos is going to be. Pretty much all you're going to get from me up through next Crossbow Appreciation Month. The main focus, I should say, is going to be the search for a new crossbow. So I am going to, and I'll tell you this now, my intention is to do a lot of research, not just about crossbow models, but about crossbow information in general. I have a lot of different ideas that I want to share with you. And I'm starting to conduct interviews with people who I think have a lot to say that can help me illustrate some points. At least it'll help me illustrate my thinking, my thought process about picking out a new crossbow, but also stuff that would help other people pick out a crossbow, right? And important stuff. So we're going to explore some of that, and it's going to be part of those videos going forward. You're going to get a lot of that. You will get all of it. Don't worry about that. And one of the things that I had looked at, obviously, is the traveling. Now I'm going with the Maine this year, and here's, you want to talk about the takedown models and just the advancements in technology. My crossbow, for me to go hunting, I have to take that case, put it in the back of the car. It has to be on top of everything else because I don't want to pile stuff on top of my crossbow, even though it's a hard shell Plano case. I don't want to put a whole bunch of weight on top of that and have it jostled around. So typically all the coolers if I travel out of state, but if I don't, all my hunting gear and stuff, I have to put the seats down the back of the car, in the back of the RAV, not a problem. And then I put the crossbow on top of all of that with the limbs forward so they don't go through, so it doesn't go up into the front console. It stays, the seats keep it back. No problem, right? The other day I went out to the state game lands and I took Genevieve's crossbow, right? Genevieve and I went hunting. This was the day after Christmas. We didn't even have to put the seats down. We put our bags in the back. I didn't take my crossbow. She just took her crossbow, Bunjie Junior, it's a micro series, Micro 355. And we just left the seats up and put our bags in the back and then put the crossbow case on top of it. Case and all, fit right in the back seat. Didn't even have to put the seat down. So the takedown models, I like that even more because then I don't have to have a case. I can fly with it. I can break it down and fly with it in just a square case, an SKB case, right? A padded case that will go straight through the airport, right? No problem. So the takedowns, very attractive to me. Very attractive. I think that is certainly a possibility. Chip Bickle, are you going to stay with Excalibur? Not 100% sure yet. Now, I really like the simplicity of my recurve. I really do. This crossbow owes me nothing. Excalibur has been great to me. I'm not sponsored by Excalibur, and they've never given me a thing. I've paid for everything that I have, and I'm not trying to sell other people on Excaliburs. I made that very clear. It's not the right crossbow for everybody. There are some drawbacks to these recurves, right? Size, back in the day, being one of them. But modern crossbows, even the Assassins today, are 30 inches wide. That's a big improvement over the 36. It's 6 inches narrower. Genevieve's is 25 inches wide. That's pretty sweet. And I can do everything with the smaller one like that. You can do an awful lot with that. That's awesome. But I will explore other brands. That is going to be part of this effort, part of this series of videos looking into new crossbows. I'm going to look at other models and other brands. George Keith, how about the Bulldog 440? Probably looking at a takedown if I go with one of the more expensive Excaliburs. If I, right now, and I haven't shot an Assassin, but if I'm going to buy a new crossbow, maybe I'm going to get an Assassin. We shall see. With the Micro Series crossbows, you've got questions about limbs and all that sort of thing that we hear about these days. But you hear that, you hear that from different ones as well. You hear that from other brands and other models as well. And Jennifer Robinson, I thought about that too. Perhaps 2 different limb setups for one bow. I don't know how they do that, but I don't make crossbows. I just kill stuff with them. So, but maybe they're thinking without having to readjust your scope, you can have a crossbow that will shoot a 100 grain field point or a 150 grain field point, right? Or it'll shoot a 415 grain arrow rig, or it'll shoot a 600 arrow, maybe that's the case. But to me, almost, that would be more of a scope thing than a crossbow thing. But I thought about that too. That's actually, yeah, that's one of those things. 10 points, got a new crossbow that's 440 feet per second. This is Carl up in Maine. Carl up in Maine, I hope you're nice and warm up there. That is 10 points. I'm going to look at these other brands and stuff, and I got to tell you, I'm not as familiar with them. I'm not as motivated to get a compound crossbow, but maybe that's the time. Time will tell whether that's the technology for me. I don't know. I really do like the and some of the reverse. The reverse limb crossbows are very attractive when you look at them on paper, okay? And when I've watched some videos on them on YouTube. But I want to talk to people. I want to shoot these things first. I'm not buying one without shooting it a bunch of times, whether it's in a shop or, at a friend's house, something like that. I shall be using them. So I shall be trying them out, and I'm going to try and make videos of that process. You know what I mean? Yep. What else we got here? Matthew Tuttle went from a reverse limb crossbow to an Excalibur. Yeah, I've actually had to change the string on my Excalibur a couple of times. I've done that. I don't know if I had to, but I actually did that in Maryland on a couple of occasions. So that's something that for sure I've done that. Yeah. Yep. Lever Action says he doesn't. All you need to do is remove one bolt to make any Excalibur a takedown. The actual takedowns have been having issues here and there. No need for that sloppy twist and lock foolishness. Time will tell with that stuff too. I'm not really a big. They say that you can snap that together, and everybody who I've talked to, who has shot and uses those takedowns, says that yeah, it doesn't change the point of aim at all. Okay, I mean, to me it seems like, how's that going to work? How do you take something apart, put it back together, and it shoots the same? But I can tell you this: I have taken my crossbow apart. I've taken the riser right off the front, right? And what he's talking about, you take the bolts out. I actually have 2, I think, coming up in the bottom of my Axiom. There's 2. They're Allen wrenches. But you pull those out, and then you can just take the riser right off the rail. So you've got the barrel separate from, right? And then you could put it, and that's how I shipped it to Arizona when I hunted out there. Put it in a gun case, lock it, send it out there, put it back together. It was, I won't say dead on, but it was within an inch when I got there. You know what I mean? When I put it back together. So, yeah, you can do that too. My problem with that stuff is Allen wrenches, man. How many times are you going to turn that before that Allen wrench gets stripped? And now I'm shot because I can't go to Ace Hardware and buy more bolts to put in the front of that crossbow. That's the problem. So Tony S. says it is a double barrel crossbow that they will be introducing, 2 arrows loaded at a time. If that's the case, I shall not buy one. I was afraid of that, and the 2 arrows thing, knock, 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 okay, knock, knock. I love a pun as much as the next guy, but I have no interest in shooting 2 arrows. I don't have any interest in that. So here's a joke. I'm not going to take credit for this, but remember the Raven ads for meet your next rifle, and it's a crossbow. That's the Raven spiel. And now someone on our Facebook page, and forgive me for not being able to give credit to this. This was great, but I got a message today on a Facebook page or somewhere and he said, "Meet your next shotgun." Or no, "Meet your next slug gun" is what it was. And I thought that was pretty funny because it's like, if it's an over-under setup, it'll be like your next double barrel shotgun. So that was kind of funny. A crossbow with a single shot magazine attached. Hey man, I'll take it. I probably can't hunt with that, but Jason Sacco wanted a reverse limb for years. His Axiom is now his backup, and Bunjie will remain a backup. Old Grumpy Hunter, after all this, all you have to contribute is Happy New Year's? Really? That's all you got? What about a crossbow with 2 tracks? Oh, man. Maybe we should be like on the design team they should be paying us guys to come up with all these ideas. We've got some great ideas here. And I'm really only making fun of Old Grumpy Hunter because I spoke with him earlier today and we went back and forth on this. So, Andreas Loomers, no point of aim problems at the takedown crossbows. Yeah, I hadn't heard any problems with that either. And that's the kind of thing, like I said, I don't design crossbows. So I leave that to the professionals. That's not my job. My job is to kill stuff with my crossbow. That's my job. So that's what I'm out there doing. Doing my best. Point of aim stays the same, hands down, deadly accurate. Daniel Garcia, yeah, you Zoomed with us and we talked about that. And in fact, I was speaking with another friend of Bunjie and he brought up the fact that during the Zoom, you mentioned that. And you are definitely a good source of information. I greatly appreciate that. Just like I appreciate everybody chiming in here. I really do. Yeah, but Brian Ross has had, I think he's saying he has had no accuracy issues. Just bring 2 crossbows. There you go. Yeah. What they ought to be working on is, instead of coming up with an assassin level crossbow that shoots 2 arrows, come up with a way to make an assassin that costs half as much, and then I'll buy 2 of them. How's that? Now that's a good idea. See, we're coming up with some great ideas here. Oh, here we go. Yeah, I see. And this is this joke. Here we go. Old Grumpy Hunter. 2 arrows will save you time for your double tap. I wish I had like a button I could push for canned laughter. That's what I need. That's a good one. That is good though. Man. Oh man, that's a good one. Wicked Ridge has one out at $8.99 online, 400 feet per second, 6 inches wide cocked. Pretty soon they won't be crossbows anymore and maybe not allowed during the archery season. Well, LTBO 67, a very good point. You're down to 6 inches wide. You are not legal in New York unless they change what they define as a legal crossbow. Bunjie is legal. It's under 200-pound draw weight. It's 36 inches wide, very uncomfortable, discourages people from using crossbows, in fact, and that's what New York likes. Basically anything that discourages from going up there and hunting with a crossbow, I guess. That's what they're doing. So, Michael Meyer, just started reading your book. It's an awesome book. Well, thank you, sir. I really appreciate that, and I hope you enjoy it. I hope you read it all the way through, and I hope that 2021 gives us material for a whole new book, and 2020 gives us material for a whole new book. I do have a couple of ideas in the works, and the book thing actually turned out really good. The book, I was pretty happy with the results of it. With the way it came across and the way it was received. I'm very happy with the way it was received, but I'm pretty happy with the effort that I put into it and how it turned out, how my skill or whatever, or how the finished product turned out. I'm pretty happy with that. So hopefully, and I do have some ideas for another book. So Mark Borcher, 2 arrows could mean a double dry fire. Yeah, that's. I keep racking up the dry fires, boy. I'll tell you, I'm an expert at dry fires. Bruin 410 shoots 415 feet per second for under $400. Under $400, Big Boy is leaving that comment, and I will tell you that. There's a couple of 400 feet per second crossbows now in the $400 range, and that just tells me it's time to upgrade, right? I mean, I'm dealing with a $500 crossbow shooting 300 feet per second And, you know, now I'm in a position where I can buy a new crossbow. So let's do a whole bunch of effort here. I will do a whole bunch of really good videos, hopefully, on this topic of looking into new crossbows. And we'll come up with a new plan for some new crossbows. John V., where can we buy the book? Amazon.com. It is on there. This is the book you are looking at. And actually, Lever Action's pointing that out. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. And that is, I got the book on here somewhere where I can show you that. That's the book you're looking at. That's me. The Death by Bunjie Crossbow Story, Confessions of a Crossbow Hunter, Richard A. Wilson, Esquire. That is me in about 30 of the 36 inches of Bunjie right there on the cover of that book. So, you know, there you go. And Ken Feudner, I am happy to hear that you were reading the book. Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate that. So, yeah, you got some great ideas here on this. And I really, Outdoor Life 4x4 Lifted, I still love that name. I think that is the coolest name. I really enjoyed watching your channel. I have a bow. She's 380 feet per second. Was going to be my best broadhead choice. I will leave you with words of wisdom from my friend Scott, who, and I reference this in the book. You should use whatever broadhead is the most accurate for that crossbow. So get out there and shoot it a few times, and if you can hit bullseyes out to 40 yards, you're safe to hunt at 40 yards with that. Pick a broadhead, and you're going to be fine. At that speed, you're not going to have too much trouble with just about anything on the market, in my opinion. And you might find that out at those longer distances, a mechanical broadhead shoots a little bit cleaner. If you want to get into tuning and all the other fun stuff, you can do that too, you know. I'm still shooting at 245 feet per second. It kills deer, so why upgrade? Rex Tex. You don't have to upgrade. 245 feet per second. People point this out to me all the time, that people kill deer with compound bows shooting that speed. And actually, compound bows today are shooting 100 feet per second more than that. I mean, there's 10 bows out there on the market right now that shoot 345 feet per second, or at least advertise those speeds. You can shoot deer with a longbow at 120 feet per second or something like that. But I got 10 years out of that crossbow, and I don't feel ashamed in any way to say that, yeah, now it's time to explore some newer technology. And if I can shoot a deer at 400 feet per second, that gives me a flatter shot than 245 feet per second, or in my case, 280 feet per second, 300 feet per second, 251 feet per second, the various speeds that I'm getting with different arrow weights. If I can shoot a deer at 400 feet per second and have a like a smaller margin of error, I'm a lot happier with that. And I've got a lot of videos coming on this. I'm not doing this blindly. I'm not just guessing, and I'm not just going out there and saying, oh, I want a new crossbow or anything like that. I have done quite a bit of research, given this an awful lot of thought, and I'm going to share that with you down the road, because I'm doing interviews with people. I'm actually the Zooming thing. I've been doing the Zooming thing, going back and forth with people and trying to get some people who are smarter than me. I want to talk to people who are smarter than me. So I'm getting some of that information from other people too. Daniel Garcia says Rage, Hypodermic, or Trypan. And I think he's referring to the other crossbow or the other broadheads, perhaps. If you're going to go with the 150, you can't do the hypodermics, really. I like those Trypans, though. Those Trypans that Genevieve uses on my new crossbow, probably, I can tell you right now, I'll probably be shooting a Rage Trypan. That's what we'll be doing. There you go. Mike C., you really kind of summed up the way I look at this. And I hate to say that, but, you know, it would be very disappointing to see a double arrow gimmick showing up in their lineup. Yeah, I agree. That's a gimmick. Yeah. Outdoor Life 4x4 Lifted, I have written exactly one book. That is the only book that I've written and released, and that's on Amazon.com, and I have another one in the works. Actually, I got a couple ideas, and I have ideas drafted for a third book, but these are going to be released over time, and you'll hear more about them. Believe me, if there's one thing you can count on from Death by Bunjie, is I will tell you all about my books. I get that all the time. So Toms T.Y. Thomps, I think it's Ty Thompson probably, I could be guessing, is saying that he knows someone who's actually seen it. It's a practical crossbow. Perhaps, if you can elaborate on that, but if it is a 2-arrow shooting crossbow, that doesn't have much practical application for me. So there it is. Lever action. My longbow is 150, I think, feet per second. Killed them all, but that's slow. Yeah, you can ride to work on a horse too, but that's really slow, and it's cold, and it doesn't have a radio, and you have no place to put your coffee, and people look at you funny, you know. So there's that. They make cars for a reason, make new stuff for a reason. So, 10 years is long enough. You know what I mean? We got to cut the cord here, That's how it is. And it's going to look great on that spot on the wall. Bunjie is going to look great up there. So. Frederick Byerwheeler says, I look like a lawyer even out of a 3-piece suit. I never wear a 3-piece suit. I've never owned a 3-piece suit. Isn't that funny? In fact, I rarely wear a jacket anymore with this Zoom stuff. I sit in my office. I probably should wear a suit, but I usually just sitting in my office anymore these days, so whatever. Getting a smaller bow, Old Grumpy Hunter says, getting a smaller bow will make it easier to climb out the blind window. Yeah, there's that. That's a fact. That was an eye-opener for me. I learned an awful lot in that hunt in Maryland using Genevieve's crossbow. I did not go to Maryland with the intentions of shooting her crossbow. I went down there with the intentions of primarily just getting her to shoot some deer and getting her some more experience and having more fun and spending time with her. All of those missions, 100% accomplished. But hanging out the blind window and shooting that doe right at dark with that crossbow convinced me that there's, it's like, wow, this did that? I come back in here, I'm like, this crossbow did that? I'm like, it really was phenomenal. So, pretty cool, Richard Paysor, I do not have a new Excalibur. The new Excalibur, that I think I did just address that. The new one, Genevieve's, yeah, Genevieve's is pretty nice. You know what I mean? That's a nice crossbow. And that was given to us. I got a comment today. Someone said it was probably a gift from, it was a comment on that YouTube video from May of 2020 saying that probably Excalibur gave that to you and they wanted to remain anonymous. And maybe that guy's joking. I don't know. But that was not a gift from Excalibur. It was a gift from a friend of Bunjie with a note that I find very precious to me, and I still have the note, and I will keep it forever. And I will reference that and talk about that in my upcoming book, the next book that's coming out this year. So, pretty neat. That's just how that is. So, I'll bet if you poll crossbow hunters on how many times they needed or even could shoot a second arrow already cocked and ready would not justify 2 arrows. Mike C. And I think what he's saying, okay, and you can kind of go both ways on this. I think what he's saying is, if you polled crossbow hunters, they probably don't have a use for a second shot because you're just not going to get the second shot. So, yeah, I think that's true. On the other hand, maybe I don't know. Maybe there's some people hunt that way, and it depends on your style of hunting and all that. And it's easy for me. I don't want to get too philosophical here or anything like that, but it's one thing I'm real conscious of in this day and age is I don't want to try and evaluate all crossbows and their value and crossbow hunting and specific interests that I have for my crossbow and say that just because this is my circumstances, that applies to everybody else. I am so reminded of that recently with my buddy Scott. He's out in Arizona. He's hunting right now as we're talking. He's out in the middle of the desert hunting mule deer and coos deer, right? So I think that, when I talk about crossbows, his eyes glaze over because he's in Arizona, and that's not considered archery equipment in Arizona. And they practice 70 to 100-yard shots. So the conversations that I have with folks here, they don't have those conversations out there. They do totally different things. They all have 6 pins in their bow sights or 8 pins or something like that. It's a whole different style of hunting out there. And they look at us, and I've listened to podcasts recently where there were people, Western hunters, guides and whatnot, saying, look, I ask people on the phone, you're not going to hunt with me if you can't make a 40-yard plus shot. Don't come out here expecting to make a 20 to 40-yard shot. That's my comfort zone is 20 yards, right? And this year I pushed that a little bit with Bunjie Jr. I pushed a 40-yard shot, my first 40-yard shot, expanding my comfort zone. And I don't think that was a risky, unethical shot. I don't think that was a dangerous shot. I thought it was awesome. In fact, it turned out pretty much the way, if I had thought about this ahead of time and predicted how that was going to happen, that's pretty much what happened. I bet I'm going to shoot her. I bet she's going to duck. I bet she's going to run to that wood line and die. And sure enough, that's what happened. So I shot my doe down there and that worked out perfect. So interesting. Kyle Skaggs, what will you name your new crossbow? There's only one name for the new crossbow. That's Bunjie. Bunjie the third, I guess. I don't know. The Bunjie line is going to continue. That's for sure. HHA optimizer for crossbow works awesome. Shot a buck at 63 yards. Big boy. I think the optimizer, that's a neat way. Now, again, that's not my style. And it'd be real easy for me to say that that's the kind of sight that I don't have any use for that. That has no use, right? That has no purpose. I can say that the optimizer, I prefer my scope. I really like my scope. It's been I don't change things unless there's a reason to change it. And it has worked really well for me. The experimentation with Bunjie Jr. tells me that there's a reason to change it, right? That there's new technology that I can find useful, that I can incorporate into my hunting strategy. And I'll talk about that over the next months and months, right? That's what we're going to do. This is a constant evolution. You don't just get to your destination and call it good. You can constantly evolve. We constantly build on what we've learned in the past and try and do better next season, right? 2019, at the end of 2019, I had this deer. Let's look at this stuff. Let me just show you real quick. Get a kick out of that. So in 2019, I shot that buck, my biggest buck ever in Maryland, and I shot that Sika deer in Maryland right there. That was 2019. And it'd be real easy to say, man, I should stop hunting. That was the best season a guy could ask for. It can't get better than that. After 7 or 8 years of going to Maryland to try and shoot a Sika deer, I finally killed a Sika deer in a swamp. Like, that was the nuttiest thing. It's crazy. And I survived mosquitoes, and I was wearing waders when I shot that deer. You would think, I mean, it's easy to say that, that can't do any better than that. But 2020 was my best hunting year ever. I had a great meet and greet with 16 other friends of Bunjie. We went out there to Tioga Boar Preserve. My daughter shot a 500-pound hog. I shot a 400-pound hog, right? I got to experiment with heavier arrows. I learned an awful lot, had great conversations about that stuff. Then we go to Maryland. Genevieve, in Pennsylvania, Genevieve gets a buck on her opening day under the 100-year-old apple tree, a tree that I thought was dead, right? And I got to share that moment with her. I'm sitting right next to her when that happened. It can't get better than that. Then we go to Maryland. She kills a doe. I kill a doe. We come back, and I kill my biggest Pennsylvania buck ever. 2020 was even better than 2019. It's amazing. And I got to share it with my daughter. So change is inevitable. You have to accept it, and you got to roll with the punches. And a new crossbow is just part of that. So we'll see what happens. Yep. James Skaggs, I just posted a photo of a dual limb recurve that might be ideal, and it's on your Facebook page. I will check that out as soon as we're done here. And it might be a Coda bow, right? I think I talked about the Coda bows. They're pretty cool. The old Bunjie should now be called Bunjie Senior. Yeah, my buddy Scott said that that's Grandpa Bunjie is what he called it. Grandpa Bunjie. Wouldn't being able to shoot two different arrows be a convenience? Saying you're in a place where you can hunt two different species, and the possibility of getting both is there. Just thinking. John Mobley, 100%. I think what he's saying is that if this crossbow, and I kind of think this would be a better addressed in a scope than in the entire crossbow, but you can set your crossbow up to shoot two different arrows. And this is for my stock arrow with a 100-grain broadhead, shoots nice and flat, really fast. That's my white-tailed deer arrow. But when I See that wild hog? I flip it over to hog and put it in hog mode, and now it's automatically sighted in for my 600 grain arrow with a fixed blade broadhead. Right? Is that what we're talking about? If that kind of technology existed, that'd be great. I mean, maybe that would have an application. Wouldn't for me. What I have found that when I went to the meet and greet and we were faced with 400-pound hogs, in my case, I was using a 550 grain or so arrow, a little bit under that, with a 100 grain broadhead. But that did the trick, right? You go watch that video. With white-tailed deer, I sure wasn't going to shoot that doe in Maryland with that arrow, you know, not even with my crossbow. It wouldn't fit out the window. But I have been able to sight my crossbow in going from one of those heavier arrows back to my stock arrows. I sighted that in 6 shots in the backyard in about 15 minutes. 6 shots. 3 of those shots were just verifying 10, 20, and 30 yards. What more do you want, right? That's the way this should be. It better be that easy. When I look at new crossbows, they get a little intimidating because there's anti-dry fire and there's, you know, different kinds of doodads on them and everything else. And that's new and foreign to me. Again, you can't just not change because it's uncomfortable. I have to look at this and say, is that increase in technology, that improvement in technology, worth it to put up all those little inconveniences and changes and that learning these new things? And I think it will be, and my mind is there, so I think that's what's going to happen. So that's kind of where we're at. Maybe they could make a digital scope that does that. Yeah, no, Josias, and forgive me, like I said, I can murder anybody's name, right? With the best of them. But the digital scope, what I'm finding in this day and age, man, digital beats analog any day of the week now. We're really getting into an area where the digital is really there. I'm seeing that with cameras. I'm still shooting a DSLR, a mirror camera, where there's a mirror that flips up and reflects light onto the sensor or something like that. Why do we have moving parts inside a camera, right? When your phone does such a perfect job. This is a mirrorless camera. This has no such mirror. This is just a camera. But this is the way to go. Even my DSLR, there's certain things this won't do. But man, this beats my DSLR for convenience, hands down, although the picture on the front of it I actually took with the DSLR, and that is a sweet picture, so, you know, they got their place. They got their place. All right, we're hitting the 8 o'clock hour here. I've been talking for an hour, but a couple things. I have not been on here nearly enough this season, primarily because of the move. That was the case, and I apologize for that. I don't, you know, my plan was to get this place all set up, and I feel uncomfortable even showing you the rest of the room here because it's a wreck. I just got stuff piled up in here. But I am making a conscious effort to get this, you know, get books put away, get the boxes put away, and get everything hanging up. And I'm going to give you a tour of the trophy room, our new house. I'll give you a tour here. And, you know, 2 weeks ago, we got 31 inches of snow, and it's just been, and then you got the holidays, and before that, I'm trying to make sure Genevieve gets as much hunting in as possible. Whenever she wants to go, we go hunting. We planned for it and went to for the late season and all that, and that was a bust. It was just, man, was it too cold. But we live and learn, and we are constantly out there doing all this stuff. There's a lot coming in the future, and I have been interviewing people, like I said. I've been doing some work on future videos, and there's going to be some good stuff coming in 2021 from Death by Bunjie. The rest of the world may stink. I don't know. Maybe it does, you know. Maybe it's not going to get any better. I don't know. But Death by Bunjie is going to keep going on, keep moving forward, and we are going to have some crossbow fun in 2021. There, that's a good slogan. Crossbow fun in 2021. How's that? All right. I'm going to go back through the comments. You guys left some great comments here, and a lot of you are like we're kind of on the same wavelength here, you know. We got all kinds of stuff. Tim Smith, his sound system is a full digital mixer. Boy, have those times changed, you know. 15 years ago, you were buying a $75,000 board to make an album. And today you can record it right straight into your computer, and nobody uses, look, those boards are, I mean, they have their place. But digital is, you know, look where it's at, man. We're getting there. It is an exciting world, I'll tell you. I hope there's lots more excitement to come. And what I am going to do, actually, you know, one thing before we log off, there's a whole bunch of you still on here. I'm not going to log off yet. let's do a trivia question. I actually prepared a trivia question. So what I'm going to do before we log off, I'm going to put the trivia question on here, and it's going to be the first answer that I see on my feed. Okay, I can't control the internets. So if your question doesn't get there, please don't be upset. But it's going to be the first one I see with the correct answer. And we'll do two trivia questions. Here's the first one. Fill in that blank from the Yankee Militia song, Life is Easy. I was standing in line at the today, and I heard this woman in front of me say... So there you go. That's your trivia question. The first person to type in the correct word, if you can get that done. There's a couple of people on here who better get that because I've actually had this conversation with them. And if we don't get an answer, we'll go on to the other question. Oh, old grumpy hunter got it. Look at that. Oh, we got some good ones. Philip Lang. You guys, we got a whole bunch of people on there. Well, thanks, you guys. I appreciate that. There's a whole bunch of you that got it. That's awesome. But it is, in fact, a dandy. I was standing in line at the dandy today, and I heard this woman in front of me say. So let's do that. We got our answers there for Old Grumpy Hunter, pulled that one off. We've got Philip Lang and George Keith. That's the first three. You guys, and I'll throw it in there, the Amputee Hunter too. You four guys, if you can send me a message, I will get you some kind of sticker or something fun here for being on here and for being part of this. So you four guys, I read your names. Get a hold of me either on Facebook. Go to deathbybungie.com and type in the name there. Type in your, send me an email. Contact me page on deathbybungie.com. Try that. Whatever you want to do. Get a hold of me. Give me your address. And I will get that out to you four guys. I appreciate it. Here is the second trivia question. This one is a number from 1 to 10. And you're just going to type in that number. The first one to type in that number gets it. If you've already won, you can't play again. How's that? So you can answer, but let's not have the same four people because, that's just fair. So here goes. Here is trivia question number 2. This is a lot of fun. I hope you guys like this. How many deer did Bunjie kill in 2020? Bunjie, the crossbow. We're not talking about Rich Wilson. We're not talking about Bunjie Jr. or Genevieve. We are talking about Nicholas Parcher. You have great faith in the Bunjie family. 6 deer. That is not correct, but it is. I do appreciate that people are throwing that out there. David McEwen, 1. That is correct. That was a trick question. David McEwen, you won. David McEwen, make sure that you send me you got all kinds a lot of you got it right too. But Bunjie only killed 1. And that was the biggest Pennsylvania buck that Bunjie's ever killed. So it was a great one to go out on. Going to hang it up there. Going to hang it up there with the crossbow. Bunjie's going to hang up there next to that buck when that buck comes back. And I will do a video about that. We'll have a lot of fun with that. But Bunjie and I only killed 1 deer. I shot the doe in Maryland with Bunjie Jr. And most of my hunting this season really has been focusing on Genevieve and getting her out in the woods and making sure she has a good time. A great introduction to crossbow hunting, which she has had. So pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So Bunjie killed 1 deer. And that's a great deer to go out on. It made a great video. It'll make a great story. It'll look great on there and always be able to talk to people and remember that. And that's what this is all about. That's what this is all about. And getting together with you guys and talking about this stuff. I really had a good time. I hope you did too. I'm going to type something in here. Make sure there's 5 stickers we're going to be sending out here or something. Some kind of goodies here. I've got stickers and I got all kinds of fun stuff I'll send you. And it's, Death by Bunjie, fun stuff. And I'm going to go back through the comments too. So if you have any other comments, be sure to leave them. I will get on here and I shall read them. But until next time, I want to leave you with this. It's going to be a while before I have a different name to say, but if there's a replacement for Bunjie down the road, we shall see if this changes. But until that time, all hail Bunjie. Mike C, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot to all you guys. I really appreciate it. This is a blast. We got to do this more often. I feel bad for having not done it as much this year as I'd hoped, but this really was a lot of fun. And thank you for attending, all of you. Seriously, this was great.